It's the Freddy's Days Reimagined, Chapter 2, The Suffering Cry. Jessica Schmidt, The Horror Escape, 1983. The police continue pointing their guns at Ariel. She flinches, then runs away. What was that about, I ask her. They were going to lock us up in that Freddy Fazbear location again, she says. Well, we could just go back out, I tell her. No. When they find out that an animatronic escaped, they will surround the place with walls, and they will chain it and board it up, she says. Especially if they find out that they killed an officer, I tell her. We walk around the hallways. What are we doing here, I ask her. This place is called Circus Baby's Pizza World, she says. What are we doing here, I ask her. We're going to get some more parts, I tell her. We enter an elevator system. We go down and down. We finally get to the bottom floor. We are not supposed to be here at the very bottom. There is a middle floor, says Ariel. Well, how are we going to get there, I ask. We're going to have to mess with the settings, she says. She walks up to a panel once we exit. She rips it off and hands me to it. Do you expect me to do this, I ask? She disconnects me from her hand. I push the settings button on the panel, and a bunch of buttons pop up. I look around them. Then this little code panel pops up. It's a number pad. Do you happen to know the code, I ask? It's 1973, she says. Henry's birthday. Got it, I say. Then, I see red eyes piercing through the darkness of the vent. This purple-dressed ballerina crawls out. Her smile fills the room. She appears to be blind. At least her eyes aren't opened. She turns her head around. Who is that, I ask. The ballerina immediately turns to us. She must have heard us. Don't worry, I'll handle this, says Ariel. Claws extract from her fingers. Type the code. I type the code. 194. Then the number 3 button falls off the panel and falls into an air tube on the ground. I go down to get it as Ariel distracts the creature. I crawl through mold and mildew. I keep crawling until I see a tiny ballerina crawling inside. She holds the key. I follow them to grab it until 3 more ballerinas stare me down. They chase me inside the pipes. I keep running until I get to a dead end. I am cornered. Then, there are 2 robotic babies that join the ballerinas. I grab the pipe piece and throw it down the pipe. Like a bunch of puppies, they go and chase. I take my chance and crawl right through. I keep crawling, and I see the mini ballerina with the button in her hand. I tackle her, and she drops it. I quickly grab it, and I see the bigger ballerina burst through the door. She looks around. Then, the faceplates open up. Her face is now a gray monster with sharp teeth. She looks in my direction. Then the eyes open, revealing 2 purple lights. She darts toward me, and I hop back into the air duct, just in time to avoid her grip. I make it to the room with Ariel. Good job, you made it, she says. I put the 3 buttons on the number pad. I push the 3, and the settings open up. I press all floors available. We both enter the elevator, and I go up. Elevator music plays until we get to the 2nd floor up. We enter the room and see a sight. Suits fill the room, spare parts, and puppet lay on the ground. Bolts galore. Well, you made me go under the ground to get a button, so you better have a good reason for this, I tell her. Oh, don't worry, I have a great reason, she tells me. She pulls the ballerina leg suit and puts it on her own. She also gets the pink fox's torso and puts it on. Look at these parts. I look great, don't I? She asks. Oh, you look great, I tell her. She walks out of the room and into the elevator. We go straight up and hit the surface. I know you are suited up, but what about me? I ask her. Oh, don't worry, she says, as she holds out small animatronic parts. There is the body and hand of the small babies. There is an arm piece of the small ballerina and 2 arm pieces from the Bonnie puppet. She puts them onto me. Look, now you have some suit, says Ariel. Yeah, at least I'm not naked, I say. We go into the elevator and go up. We make it to the surface. Okay, what are we going to do now? I ask Ariel. Well, believe me, we need to get some more pieces, says Ariel. We walk down the alleyway and then the cops return. This time, they have a big truck. Ariel tries to fight back, but they grab us with a net. They drag us to the truck and then drive away. Ariel hits the walls of the truck. She grabs a little crate and throws it to the doors. I turn to her. Look, this is my fault. I am the one who got their attention, I tell her. Then she gets an idea. This truck has to be almost out of gas. Then, when they stop, we climb through the window, connecting us to the front of their truck. Then we escape, she says. Well, how are we going to fit through there, I ask. She begins taking her suit parts off. You will throw these out, she says. She takes all the suit parts off, then places them onto the ground. Here you go. Use these to throw out the window. Then I can fit through, she says. As the truck stops to get gas, the two drivers exit. I grab the suit parts and throw them out of the window. I climb through, and she also begins to climb through. Then the two drivers come into the trunk. Ariel rushes to close the door with the drivers inside. I climb out of the vehicle, and the truck shakes. I hear the incessant screaming from inside. Ariel walks out, and she has blood all over her claws, and they drip with the vibration of touching the ground. What did you do in there, I ask. Do you really want to know, she asks. Of course, I tell her. She grabs a severed head from the truck and throws it onto the ground. Blood tracks as it rolls around on the ground. You're sick, you know that, I ask. Oh, don't worry. Vengeance isn't all that I'm worried about, she says. She continues hiding behind bushes and searching where to go. So where are we going to go now, I ask. I know where to go, but not how to get there, she says. Wait, what do you mean by that, I ask. Well, that isn't what gas station I expected to be dropped off at, she says. So what are we going to do now, I ask her. Well, we need to find a map. And unless you know where to get a map and you can't get seen, then I don't know what else to do, Ariel says. Look, I have an idea, I tell her. I hop off of her hand and begin dragging myself with my arms. I enter the store and begin looking around. It is closed and we won't be seen. I keep looking around until I grab a magazine and begin flipping through it. Then, I find a map inside of it. I tear it out and hop out of the store. Look, it's right here, I tell Ariel. She begins looking at the map. Great, it is on here, she says. She tosses the map onto the ground. 77 Burgersville Ave. Burgersville Ave. Come on. Okay, sorry. I pick it up for her. I follow her with my map in my hand. Look, the place you're trying to get to is almost miles away, I tell her. We continue on walking. My question is, what is your game here, I ask her. I already told you we need to kill Afton, she says to me. How are we going to do that? We don't know where he lives, I tell her. We need to find the child murdering restaurant he works now. Then end his life, she says. She continues stomping down the street. Make sure nobody sees you, I say. Oh, don't worry. Nobody will see me, she says. She opens up a sewer pipe and goes down as I connect back to her hand. We walk through the wet, dripping sewer. It is disgusting. I guess it is the only way to get rid of Afton, though. We can hear cars driving above. Even flies are covering the walls. Sewer water rains from the pipes towering from above. How long do you think it will be until we get there, I ask her. Don't you worry. I am working on getting suited up, she says. Why do the pieces all have to be different? Why can't you and I take the look of just one animatronic? Wouldn't it make us blend in more, I ask? Look, it is a personal thing. Don't go blabbing your robotic mouth to me for my fashion sense, she says. Okay, I understand, I tell her. Continue walking. So how were things like when you were alive, I ask her. Do you really want to know, she asks. Of course, I tell her. Alright, once upon a time, I was at a birthday party with a smile across my face. I was happy, opening my presents. Then, Freddy Fazbear walks up to me with his robotic movements. He holds a cake and takes me to a back room. Then, he grabs a green, unused animatronic suit. The character's name was Charlie. I'm so sorry this had to happen to you, I tell her. Don't worry, it happened to so many children, she says. I know, but it is sad. You don't deserve to have a fate like that, I tell her. Look, Stuff like this always happens ever since that horrible place was risen from the ground, she says. I don't care, it's just wrong, I tell her. Everything in life is wrong. You just have to deal with it, she says to me. We don't have to. We could end this, I tell her. Yes, by killing Afton, I tell her. No, by helping him, I tell her. By helping him? By helping him, she screams. She throws me off of her hand and tosses me onto the wall. Why would even the thought of helping him go to your mind, she asks. Helping him could give him sanity. It would at least help him keep him from killing more people. He needs help. I don't want to kill him anymore, I say. Well, in this world, you have to kill. You have to end lives to save lives. Do you understand me, she asks. I understand, I tell her. Good. Now get back on my hand, she says. You're insane. You think this world is all about murder, I ask. She turns her head away from me. You okay, I ask her. She continues looking away. Don't worry, we're in this together, I tell her. I hope so, she says. What do you mean by, you hope so, I ask. Well, telling by that what you pulled a second ago, I don't fully agree with your trust, she says. I am your partner. We work together in this. I will help you rid Afton, no matter what I believe in, I tell her. Don't worry, I forgive you, she says. We continue our journey through the sewer system. Have you ever read The Dead Man Walking, she asks? I am confused. What is The Dead Man Walking, I ask. It is a book about this man that turns into a zombie, and he walks around, she says. Have you ever read it, I ask her? No. Telling by the age I died, she says. I think for a few minutes. Wait, how old were you when you died, I ask her. She looks off into the distance. I know you don't want to talk to me, but we have to get along, I tell her. I realize this. When we get to our destination, then we could talk more about our backstories, she says. Well, do you know how long we have until we get there, I ask her. Probably a few more hours. They don't drive us away that far, she says. Well, at least we're a little bit lucky, I tell her. Yeah, lucky, she says. Are you saying that we aren't lucky, I tell her, I ask her. We never had a childhood. We now are robots trying to kill a man that had nothing to do but murder innocent children, she says. Yeah, but you have to realize the good thing about this, I tell her. Well, how do I know good things? I was 3, she says. She immediately covers her robotic mouth with her paw. What? I ask. I am so sorry. You didn't need to hear that, she says. Wow, 3 years old, I say. I don't really want to talk about it. The only thing I knew was toys and play, she notes. Don't worry, I was 7, I tell her. I would have loved to have those 4 more years to enjoy, she says. You can enjoy them now, I tell her. What do you mean, she asks. Let's cut on this murder mission and go to the park. You now? You know? I tell her. Well, we'll get caught, she says. We'll do it at night, and if we don't get caught, then at least we had the best time of our lives, I tell her. She looks around, and opens up the sewer opening above. We climb up, and it is still night. Oh yes, we can play now, she says. She rushes down the woods, and we arrive to the park. There are swings and a merry-go-round, even a teeter-totter. You were right, this is going to be great, she says. She barely fits on the screen, and it goes back and forward. Thank you for bringing this to my attention, she says. She continues playing on the swing until headlights fill the park. There you are. I thought we would find you one way or another, one guy says. They grab nets and trap us in them before Ariel can do anything. They put us in the truck and we begin driving away once again. We are currently trapped in the back of a truck. We are being driven away to what I think is Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. How come these guys are after us, I ask her. They don't trust Afton leaving his creations alone, she says. Why has that ever happened, I ask. Once or twice, she says. What do you mean by once or twice, I ask. A few years ago, Bonnie got loose and bit a couple men, she says. How do you know this, I ask. Well, being a leader of the ghost resistance, well, I know by looking at Afton's past, she tells me. Could you do that someday, I ask. You could do it now. Can I do that someday, I ask. You could do it now. Look into the driver's mind. You will know then, she says. I look forward and look through the driver's head. I stare into his past. He sees Bonnie. Bonnie walks up to him and bites him in the arm, tears into his flesh, and takes off some skin. The man screams in pain. He bleeds on the ground, just in time for the delivery man to pick up Bonnie and drive him to a far, far away place. That guy who was bitten by Bonnie, I tell her. Well, I'm surprised he's still alive, she says. It's not like Bonnie ripped out his throat or something, I tell her. No, that was Freddy, she says. I look at her surprised. I'm kidding, she says. Then she seems to have another one of her ideas. Look, there's a little hole in the door, she says. She puts her hand through it and unlocks the hatch. She opens the trunk door and hops out. I follow her, then latch to her hand. She looks at the map one more time. Looks like I know what I'm doing, she says. Look, how much closer we are than we were, she says. I look at the map. We are only feet away. The house is this way, she says. With me on her hand, she begins running towards the house. Ariel, why are we going to the house? I ask. This place has new parts, she says. Mainly for you, she explains. She arrives at the house. Ariel grabs the doorknob and slowly turns it. She opens it and gets greeted to a pretty nice surprise. Wow, an actual house. I haven't been in a house like place in a long time, she says. Wait, what are you doing? I ask her. She grabs a lamp and takes a good look at it. My old lamp, she says. Wait, that is your lamp? Why is it here then? I ask. Afternoon used to take artifacts of the children that I killed. There were just so many that I couldn't take anymore. He killed children far earlier than he worked on his killing, she says. Well, how did he take your... I begin to ask before something breaks through the hallway. That is the end of Chapter 2. Stay tuned for Chapter 3, probably tomorrow.